When was the last time you ate?
I had I think I had a yam yam, and I think I had a sandwich, and that was kind of, and then the rest. It's not for the weak, girls. If I'm honest, it was hard. I don't know if I'd recommend it.
I guess we have to have this conversation now. I guess we have to actually talk about on this page what we feel or what I feel about sex work. Now, I do know for a fact that the sex industry is very harmful. Not just that, it's incredibly and irrefutably and almost irreversibly difficult and harsh upon women. Not only do women and children, girls, they get trafficked into the industry. Even if you don't get trafficked and you quote unquote choose it, it's not fun, it's not great, and rarely women who have been in the industry and come out of it eventually will tell you that it was 100% the best experience of their entire life, and that it was 100% safe, and they 100% loved it, and they would do it again. I'm pretty sure most people know about this situation anyway. And I haven't watched a documentary yet. I will watch it because it's on YouTube. It's for free. Go and watch it. And from what I've heard and from what I've seen and from what I've read, a lot of the boundaries that were said to be put in place during this event, and this event particularly was her being with 100 men, and I read that she actually slept with 101 men in this video. And most of the men, from what I read, like, she had stipulations in place where I think one of the things was to not cum in her eye, and yet quite a few of them did. They were apparently given, I think it was a 5-minute limit, like each man was given 5 minutes to do their business and go. Some of them, quite a few of them, overstayed their welcome. In any other context, we would call that assault. In every other context, we would call that RAPE. So how is this any different? People will say it's because she chose to do. She put herself out there for her to do this. I found out that her parents are actually the ones pimping her out. So that is a very weird family dynamic going on there. We underestimate power of socialization against women and girls. You raise girls to believe that their bodies are for men, that their bodies are for the boys in their classes. But there's no reason to believe that girls grow into women like this, because we're just playing, we're just leading into our divine femininity that men and boys keep saying exists. Men say that women always are up for sex, young women especially, even though their libido can't keep up with anything once they hit the age of 26. They created this industry, and yet women are the villain for saying that they want to get out. Women are the villains for calling the abuse out. So this was the flyer, can I say, for the 1,000 men. And you can see here, there's an email or a website here. So I'm sorry, do the men not have agency when it comes to that part? Because I know she has agency, but if men get to use socialization as an excuse, so do women. I'm sorry, because men like to say equal rights, equal fights to mock us. We're going to listen to that. So more than 100 men actually signed up to do something like this. They signed up to participate in the degradation of a woman, one woman, as opposed to more than 100 men. And there were people there who were filming it. There were men there who were doing a documentary, and as a documentary that's on YouTube. And like this tweet says, she was violated multiple times during the shoot, asked for men to not ejaculate in her eyes, and they still did. There was no proper STD checking. The girls died sobbing afterwards in an interview and said she disassociated for most of the shoot. It's not the same. I saw some guy comment on that clip saying that she went through the same discomfort as eating 100 servings of pasta, and yeah, it feels shitty, but she'll be okay afterwards. What the F is going on? Why are we downplaying the trauma she went through? And this is true, I agree. Now, I could say something about if she was any other race, apart from white, especially if she was black, she wouldn't be getting the same sympathy, and that's the truth. Because people already have this idea, especially about black women, that we're Jezebel, we're sapphires, we just sleep with everything moving, and that's our animal instincts, you know, because black people are apparently animals. We're more animals than any other races. And this is doubly for black women, because black women get the brunt of it. And then people say that women, we are just like these hypersexual creatures, and that's why RAPE doesn't exist, because we're always up for it. We just regretted it. If we dress a certain way, we just deserve any treatment a man wants to give us, because we're asking for it, because we wore short skirts, all of that. But the way I like to shape my activism is that if it's wrong, I'm going to call it out. We can talk about the other things afterwards, or we can talk about it during this time as well. There's no reason why you can't multitask. She wouldn't be getting the same kind of sympathy if she was black or if she was any other race other than white. Be that as it may, men love to be equal to women and say that they want equality with women when it comes to things like this. There's only about 3 things when it comes to paying the bills, when it comes to taking care of kids and giving birth to kids, and sex. They don't mind you going 50-50. That's less bills for them to pay. They don't mind you carrying a child. They don't have to marry you because equal rights in it. Women don't want to be married as much as they used to want to, apparently. Even though marriage has always been a downfall, it's always been a net negative for women. And of course they want to have casual sex with you. What is the downside for men having casual sex with women? What's the downside? There's no downside for them. There's definitely a downside for you. Like I said in my video the other day, I don't really believe in energy transfer when it comes to sex. You just either sleep with a bad person, or you sleep with people you're not supposed to be sleeping with, or you realize that person didn't care about you as much as they did, and you, as much as they thought they did, and you thought that you like this person, or you like this person and it didn't work out and you're just sad about it. Because this is that hyper spiritual, toxic religion kind of conditioning that makes people very weird around sex, especially men. Women will be feeling bad about their bodies. They'll believe their bodies are for men. Girls will be having very weird relationships with their bodies, which can result in being hypersexual, especially when they've been molested or assaulted, because they're not being taught about what could happen to their body. And in boys and men, they're very weird around sex. They can't stop thinking about it. They can't stop sexualizing everything because they're allowed to think that way, and there's no punishments for them thinking that way. Whatever you might feel about this situation, it happened. It's not normal. People aren't supposed to be doing this. Women aren't supposed to be doing this. But what we don't want to talk about is men's agency in this. Yeah, she made the choice to do this, but at the same time, more than 100 men made the choice to do this with her. Are men so starved of sex, so starved of intimacy, and so starved of a touch, or the touch of a woman, or the touch of a person? They don't have anyone in their lives that can probably call this. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, men will be like, oh, we have sex at every opportunity. I'm pretty sure they paid to be a part of this. I'm pretty sure. So you guys paid to be a part of this. Are you guys okay? Like, are you that big of a loser that you have to participate in something like this? And they'll turn around and say that women are the problem with society. More than 100 men participated in this. If you see that clip, and that's why I want you to go and watch the documentary, I'll probably watch it later today. I saw the deadness in her eyes, and I'm pretty sure you saw it as well. She like disassociated during that 20 seconds. She says she doesn't recommend it. She wouldn't recommend it. And I understand that some women out there feel like they don't have a choice but to go into sex work, whether that is OnlyFans or that is the traditional sex industry. Whatever part of that you belong to, or you feel like you're going to make the choice to join, there are women out there who will tell you that was the worst thing that ever happened to them. No matter how we feel about the sex industry, I still support sex workers though, and I support their right to want to leave, because we underestimate how little this world cares about women and girls. It doesn't. It really wants to chew us all up and spit us out. And once you're spat out, right, do you think they'll give you any help to get you back on your feet? They won't. This girl, this lady, she was very, very unprotected. I said her parents are a part of this. They're doing all the marketing for this. Like, what kind of childhood did she have? We never asked the right questions, but we'll be hyper-analyzing boys and men who made the conscious decision to harm other people. They'll look you in the eye and say, we're beasts, we're monsters. Don't put humanity on us. Don't project humanity onto us. Stop saying we're good people. We want to be bad. They'll lie and say women want bad boys. They'll lie and say girls, they want older guys. All these guys, they're the ones sitting around complaining about a male loneliness epidemic. They'll say that when the opportunity arises, we are going to participate in something like this. If we can't get sex, we're going to start harming women. This was harm. It was self-harm on her part, and it was assault on the guy's part. I don't feel bad about saying that at all, because it's the truth. From what we read and from what I read about this situation, what happened with just 101 men as opposed to 1,000 men that is apparently happening in January in the span of 24 hours. Can you imagine having to sleep with over 100 men in 24 hours? She felt violated. She had dead eyes. She disassociated. She was begging them to stop and they didn't. I'm sorry, what do we call that in the real world? Men were trying to make false equivalencies online, saying that, well, even if 100 women slept with one man, we would still call it a man can't sleep with 100 women. He would die. And that's why I say men don't deserve and shouldn't have that much access to women. Men are the ones that are supposed to be on birth control. The villainization of sex should be towards men, because that's what they've made it. And they're teaching boys or the next generation how to continue ideas like this. What Lily Phillips needs is intensive therapy. What she needs is support from people who actually care about her, and that's not including her parents. That's why you need to talk to the girls and the women you know about loving themselves and appreciating their body. These boys, these men, they don't deserve to be anywhere near you. None of this is normal. You can tell from that video she also agrees.
Lily had shown us so far was fairly in keeping with most creators on OnlyFans. However, what she was planning to do in a couple of weeks' time had never been seen before. This is where the applications are coming through.
Where the guys are messaging. I had it switched off for a little bit, so it's just...
So how are you doing this? You put out a phone number
Yeah.
and people can just apply?
Can you see how many guys just messaged the moment she posted? Can you see how many responses she got? Like, can you see her phone blowing up? Now, spoiler, if you haven't seen the documentary, because I literally watched it like an hour ago. As far as we know, she's still going ahead with this. At the end of the documentary, I'll just tell you, she cried. She broke down in the middle of the interview. There's not a way to describe it. That is literally what happened. Verbatim. I cannot begin to fathom in what universe any woman would be able to put up with something like that, whether or not it was a choice. We keep having the wrong conversations when it comes to this. In the video I made earlier, I spoke about socialization. No one in this woman's life is protecting her or speaking up for her. Even her team, she has 10 people in her team. They never said that, oh, we've tried to advise her to take care of herself. Literally one lady in her team was like, oh, she took it like a champ or some crap like that. This is disgusting. It's vile. The problem is, the logicals have made sex and sexual intercourse and intimacy into something it shouldn't be. They've made it into something that can be bought. Consent cannot be bought. Kashmir says, watching that Lily Phillips documentary solidified to me that porn is harmful even for the ones they say that enjoy it. It's true, you're going to get a lot of women in the sex industry telling you that it's not that bad, that they love it, or they just love sex anyway and getting paid for it is a bonus. They don't really mention to you how much the upkeep of themselves is. They have to trust sometimes the fact that these guys are going to hurt them. They just have to rely on a man's promise that they will not. These women will break down, they'll disassociate, and these men will be like, oh, are you ready to F yet though? They don't care about your safety and they don't care about your health. Especially because these men, they are also in relationships, they are in marriages, they have kids. They don't care about the women they're with. What makes you think they care about you? Before you make that decision to go into the sex industry or start that OnlyFans, just realize that a lot of men are going to try and knock you down a peg. Even if you're not going to be like Lily Phillips and say you're going to sleep with multiple men in one day and post it on OnlyFans. Men will always be trying to follow you around. Whenever you're on social media, they'll be in your comment section harassing you. Whenever you try and make something light that men have created, they will remind you exactly why they created that thing. It's to humiliate you. OnlyFans, of course, wasn't started as a way for people to do sex work and get paid for it, but it just shows that sex work, which is largely targeted towards cisgendered heterosexual men, can fester in all platforms and in any facet. Kashmir also says, I just finished and I'm actually horrified. The guy shaking, only eating a pastry. Another man flying from Switzerland and paying £800 for the trip. Random guys showing up last minute. Lack of STI checks. Her team, the cameraman gagging at the smell. Everyone will come up with all manners of excuses. This is just one man. The man from Switzerland, £800, that included the trip. It included, I think, where he was staying. And he did something else, I can't remember. And then that also includes the price that he paid to sleep with Lily. So I think for 5 minutes it's £200, and then for 10 minutes it was 500 or something like that. And then men will get mad that women are making bank off of sleeping with them. There's no lengths they won't go through or go to. I'm pretty sure there's women in Switzerland, but apparently this Swiss guy, he's been following Lily for quite some time. He's like an original fan of hers. That's what he claims anyway. And yeah, they did mention that, oh yeah, they were going to do STI checks or something like that, and they just didn't. A lot of the guys actually dropped out. Some of them came back and were like, can I bring a friend? They were just saying yes to anybody. And then the interviewer guy, Josh, he said, aren't you worried that, you know, one of these guys could be like an axe murderer or be dangerous? Lily says, oh yeah, possibly, but I don't think they would go through all the measures we're putting in place just to come and try and do some harm or something. You'd be pleasantly surprised when it comes to men. When it comes to the logicals, a lot of what they do doesn't make sense. A lot of what they do does make sense. They will do anything and nothing at all. You wouldn't be surprised when you get to know them that they would go through those lengths just to harm, just to blow crap up. They will do a lot. They will cause immense damage just for 5 seconds of pleasure. Trust me. People are like, why would these men spend so much money to do something like this? Men do all sorts of stuff. They'll do it with your money, let alone his money. A man will have a family of 5 that he needs to quote unquote feed. He'll take their life saving and he'll spend it on another woman. Don't ask the logicals why they would do something. It's quite obvious. They don't care about you and they don't care about your well-being. They don't care about the well-being of the women they're doing this to. Let's talk about them and the lives they have. Their faces were blurred out during the documentary. How come their faces are blurred out? Just because they don't have OnlyFans. They're subscribed to her OnlyFans. They knew about this. How did they find out about this? But their faces are going to be covered. A man in the documentary was like, oh, don't film. But you're paying hundreds to sleep with a woman for 5 minutes. And we're saying that Lily alone is the problem. If there is no demand, there's no supply. In the interview, Josh was saying that he would refer to her as a businesswoman, and she acknowledges that if she referred to herself as a businesswoman, people would give her slack. They would be very mean to her, or meaner than they're already being. And it's true. If men, though, are going to treat sex and sex work as a product they can buy from you, your consent is something that is on sale, then yeah, you are a businesswoman. But they don't like that. They don't like legitimizing harm they do towards you. But we have to start acknowledging this as harm. This is self-harm on her part, like I mentioned earlier. It's just awful. She was mentioning that it was around the 40th guy she'd had that day. That's when she, was really deep in what she was doing, because she was thinking, I'm not even halfway done. It's as simple as that. I'm not trying to shame people out of having sex. You can have sex, but this particular context, this particular example is not normal. I've said men should not have this much access to women, but they also shouldn't be this desperate and low down to pay hundreds to sleep with a woman. Not saying women aren't worth it. I'm just saying this would be damaging to anybody. 100 men in one day. The succubus spirit of men. 100 of them. I feel sorry for her, and I'm not afraid to say that. We always talk about the male loneliness epidemic. Meanwhile, women and girls, they're suffering too.